Okay, Karen B is back, and we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy and that piece of shit high evolutionary. Oh, yeah. Hit it.
Uh, Welcome to the Sean and Geek, the Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast. Done.
Well done. Okay, we're going to use that.
Yeah.
And I'm getting less excited. Okay, so to be honest, this is maybe a good segue, but I was not excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Not at all. I'm like, the whole thing with James Gunn, he gets fired, he gets rehired. They're like, oh shit, we shouldn't have pulled the pin this quickly. And then they're like, okay, we want you back. I already got another gig. Sorry, guys.
Right.
I go do a whole bunch of DC shit.
Sure. Yeah.
Which was the biggest mistake because he made
letting him go
because he made a phenomenal move in Suicide Squad. I know it didn't make money.
Right.
Pandemic, whatever. It's a great fucking movie, and
it resulted to a super fun TV show.
Yep.
Peacemaker
show and really broke Cena in a really good way, the right way, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then so now then he comes back, he gets to make the movie he wants to make, no interference.
Correct.
At all. But he was always good at playing the field and
right.
good at playing with the producers and oh, we need this in there. Okay, yeah, no, I'll find a way to add that in. Like he was always good at that, but he didn't need to with this. So then he makes this. I want a Christmas special. Okay, fine. Like whatever you want, James. We fucked you over.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They give him the Christmas special, which I loved. I thought it was great.
It was a perfect special.
It didn't.
That's a special.
Yes, it didn't need to be deep. It didn't need, but it was preamble for the new movie. This is why they're at nowhere. This is the Drax and Mantis's relationship. Like, we go into the movie. We don't need to cover all these points.
But I like how the Christmas special. It's not a requirement. It's not prerequisite either. You could go without watching that, and sure. I feel it will tug the same heartstrings. It will give you the same feelings. You will just accept it because the big reveal of Mantis and Peter being related, like that was like a given from the previous movie, right? So it wasn't a secret. So we're doing fine.
But now, so talk about like plotting your career properly. So you get fired, get a job somewhere else because they snatched them. Like, of course they're going to snatch them up. They would have been fools not to snatch them up.
Right.
But then they also get to test him out because they know, well, you know what? I bet your Marvel's going to take him back. But we have him right now. So this is a good testing ground. What can you do in our world over here? And they get to test him out. And he gets to play the field. He gets to see what it's like on the other side. Like, there's certain things I can't do over here. If I only had a little bit more power, I could do a few things over here at DC.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to commit to anything. He comes back. He does Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They're promising him the moon to do whatever he wants. He does the movie, and then it comes out universally acclaimed. Everyone loves the movie. Okay, I'm gonna go make my DC stuff now. Now DC is like, okay, I know we gave you certain creative controls. We're gonna give all
take the steering wheel.
Yeah. Like honestly, like you couldn't have written a better story about how like he's gonna be able to do whatever. But the other thing too is there was so much negative not goodwill, like the opposite of goodwill for DC movies.
Right.
Then people were shitting all over James Gunn. Oh, you lost Henry Cavill, you lost this person, you got rid of this person, you're not continuing. And he was getting so much negative comments. Like people had no faith in him. And then he releases Guardians 3. And they're like, everyone's changing their fucking mind now that he's, okay, we were wrong. Okay, maybe you can make a good DC. Like,
yes.
But if he hadn't released that movie, Guardians 3, people would still be second guessing him. But now I think the tide has turned. He's proven himself. Like,
yeah,
you guys forgot that I make great fucking movies?
Yeah.
Did you guys forget?
And I appreciate the level of understanding of the material that you have. With the ones that we've seen him deal with, is just like he understands the character, he captures them, he captures the essence of the character, right? Like, and then just plays around with the story and really has fun. Like, Suicide Squad, this is what they're about, and this is what I'm gonna play around this idea here.
Yeah. And those are lame duck characters. They should not work. They absolutely should not work, but he made them work. So imagine if he had characters that worked. I'm just looking at his at the movies he's done, because I mean he has done more than the Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously.
For sure.
But did you ever see any of his other stuff?
Now I have to look up, like, what is his other stuff?
I just got it here. So he did Romeo and Juliet. That was his first film. He was a writer only on that one. And then he wrote the specials.
Okay. Oh, he did Scooby-Doo.
He wrote Scooby-Doo. Did you like Scooby-Doo?
We actually rewatched that recently.
Yeah, well, actually, me too. It
was still fun.
I liked them. He wrote both of them, and they were both very good. He also did Slither, but he directed that one. That was his first director. Did you see Slither?
I think I saw Slither.
It's so good. I have not seen Super, though.
No, I've not
seen. He did after, and that's with Rainn Wilson. And
I've not seen that.
And Paige, Ellen Page, who's now Elliot Page. It's on the cheap streaming services. I should probably go and watch it, but I heard it was phenomenal. He did Brightburn. He just producer. See, so he hasn't done really that much stuff.
No.
Romeo and Juliet I did see, though. And for the Tromeo movie, like those movies, like, it was good.
Yeah, not much stuff, hey?
No, not much. But he puts quality out. The Belko Experiment, I don't know what that is.
Because, like, I thought, like, the Scooby-Doo captured the essence of the cartoon. The people that didn't like it, I'm like, it is what it is. Those are the characters. That's what it is.
Love those movies.
Because that's what it is. That's what they are. Like, they made like that Velma show, and it's like what they do with Riverdale, right? Yeah, like, sure. You're turning them into things that they aren't. Like, you love Scooby-Doo because it's like you have a little bit of a mystery, but it's always the guy that they first meet that's kind of creepy, and there's a mask and a reveal. And
even the casting of that film, I really enjoyed the casting.
Oh, it was perfect.
And to be honest, the guy who did Shaggy ended up voicing Shaggy in everything for years afterwards, after those movies,
because he was just so perfect for that.
Yeah, he was great. Like, yeah. So anyway, so we've seen Guardians 3. So just surface good or bad?
Oh, well, what I texted you 10 out of 10.
I know you did, but what tell our audience what you told me.
10 out of 10. That's all I said. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy. I just watched it. It's a 10 out of 10.
Now,
tell them what you said.
What did I say? Do you remember what I said?
This was the probably the best Marvel movie since Spider-Man.
Yes, that is what I said, because Spider-Man tugged at my heartstrings. Was a great ending to a trilogy. It hit every point that I needed to see growing up with Spider-Man. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy, I do have a long history with Guardians too, longer than most people. Like I was reading Guardians before they became popular because I was reading them when they weren't popular. Like I still have the original run with Vance Astrovic and Charlie 27 and Martin X and the original Leondu. Like I still have that run. I was actually going to dig it out and read it again. And I mean, so when this movie came out, originally I was disappointed. Like the first one came out, I'm like, oh, it's none of the original Guardians.
Right.
I was disappointed in the lineup. That's a Marvel movie. I'll go see it. It'll probably be okay. And I was blown away by how good it was. Like
because James made us care about these like mismatched characters, right?
And I've never liked Rocket. I've never liked Groot. I'd seen them in comics before. And
it's hard to like a tree, you know? Yeah. There's not much to it.
And Star-Lord had the potential of being a great character, but the creator left before he finished his arc. He just left. So he was a character that with lots of potential, and then a bunch of writers effed it up, right? So I wasn't excited when the first one came out, but after I saw it, I'm like, I take everything back. It was phenomenal. And I really love the first one. I really, really like the second one.
And this is like we mentioned earlier, this is what you do with the beeline, you know, heroes and whatever.
Yeah, you can have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun and go crazy, go nuts. And I don't know, I didn't really even like think of a flaw until I started looking for what are people's problems with this, you know, why isn't like 100% in everything. But I just like how like every character had a bit of an arc, you know, in this movie. It's not like Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. No. It was like actual Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's not like Iron Man and the Avengers. It's Wolverine and the X-Men. It was
it was like it's a team movie, so you're following a team. And even like Adam Warlock, you know, they made him a little bit of a joke character, but like there's still something. There's like an arc there.
And we're just starting with him. That's the thing. This isn't his movie. This is what we were talking about. Like, you know, have them naturally show up if there's an opportunity for someone to show up, make them appear, and then have fun with it. We'll see more of him. And he was literally born yesterday. So, I mean, he's not going to be the fully developed Warlock that we know from the comics.
Yeah.
He can't be. He absolutely can't be. He's not.
But even, you know, James Gunn, like, who cares, right? He could turn him to whatever. He could be that type of character, or he could mature and, you know, many years from now be closer to the comics, or just be a different person in the movies, which is fine. But I guess we won't see that because James Gunn is jump ship.
Yeah, by the time Infinity War had come along and his big role in the comics of that, he'd been around for 20 years. So he started out the same.
Yeah.
You know, you're just not seeing the finalized very smart, very wise, very like, no, he's not there yet. He was born yesterday in the film, like you know, so and I'm okay with that. I think that was the one thing people were like, like you just felt like they
people complained about that, and they complained about why did Peter have his shoes and his like mask at the end, and he would have been fine. And I'm like, just let it go. You know, it was fine. Or like, where did he get the iPod, and why did he have music from 2000? Like, I don't know, but I don't think about those things because it was just because it was such an enjoyable movie.
Yeah. So it exceeded expectations. And is it the best Marvel film? It's one of those things like when we saw Spider-Man 3, we're like, oh my God, it's so good. But I don't know if you can rate it in the same way as a first movie. Like you can't say, for example, when Shang-Chi 3 comes out, we may say the same thing about Shang-Chi 3.
Correct. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
But you can't rate a first movie versus a third movie in the same way. You can rate a third movie versus a third movie in the
Well,
same.
that's why you compare it to Spider-Man. Right? There's like
Yeah.
two third movies, and throwing Civil War or whatever. But I don't think it's the best, but it's up there because it's very, very well written, and that's all it matters. Like, it when you get to like the ranking of those like good movies.
Yep.
It's like one is ahead of the other by like a point, or it's just now a preference thing, but it's
the mood you're in that particular week or whatever.
Yeah, because I think we knew that what going into the movies, because it's been out we're kind of late on this, honestly, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, like there's so many reviews that have been out and it's all been positive. I don't think I've ever seen a bad review, which is why going into the movie, you just know that it could be a good movie. But how good it is, I wasn't prepared for it to be this good.
No, I was not either. It reminded me, it did remind me of Spider-Man 3, because Spider-Man 3, I mean, I think the Spider-Man trilogy as a whole, there wasn't a weak movie. In my opinion. Like, I really liked the Spider-Man trilogy a lot. And
Tom Holland, right?
It was Tom Holland. Yeah, that one's, of course. But I think with Guardians, like some people didn't like Guardians 2, but I really enjoyed Guardians 2 a lot.
Yeah.
But there's so much space between Guardians 2 to Guardians 3.
Yeah.
It didn't come out when it was intended and all that sort of stuff, that I lost interest. Saw the Christmas special. I'm like, oh yeah. But
okay.
I still wasn't hyped.
Sold.
It had been so long. It's like when Wonder Woman 84 came out, it was a long time after the first one too. And Aquaman 2, like, when's it coming out? Like 30 years from now? Like, it's so long in between movies that the momentum has been lost. And I felt that about Guardians 3, but the reviews were good. I'm like, okay, well, okay, we'll go see it. And then the reviews came in. I'm like, I don't usually agree with reviews, so I'm probably not going to like this. But then you told me you liked it. And I'm like, okay, hang on. Karen said it's good. That's the only review that matters.
You watched it with Sylvie, right?
Oh, I did. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we were there, and there was, we had a block of 2 seats, right?
Right.
Next to us, there was a block of 2 seats, but there was only one person there. He came by himself. And we're like, oh, this poor guy. And Sylvie said he was sobbing so freaking bad.
Oh.
By himself, and he was like,
Oh.
And it was like, but everybody was. It was like, I didn't expect to get that visceral reaction.
And every time they showed Rocket and his friends, and you're like, oh, I never saw the other 3 animals later on. I wonder what will happen. And you just, they're just like, the first, like, I don't know, 5 scenes with them, they're just like, we're dreaming of the outside world, and we're gonna see the sky. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, look at you guys, like, this bunny is the most terrifying thing. And you're just like, when are they gonna pull the rug under us? And
but there's, I felt that was really, everything was handled well, I feel.
Oh yeah.
But there's certain turns they not should have taken, but had, if this was another studio or there was studio interference, but they let James Gunn do whatever the fuck he wanted. So, but if there was studio interference, you know what? Let the
make the animals cuddly.
or oh god, yeah. But they would have said, okay, well, only kill off one of them, or when they go back to rescue all the animals, we'll let a bunch of them. Like, there were so many choices where the studio could have interfered to make this shit, or not quite as good, I guess. Maybe not shit.
Right. But, or like even the choice, because here's what I was afraid of. I was afraid that, oh, this is just gonna be how Peter got Gamora back, and we're just gonna go back to this, and this is just the point of this. But they handled that so maturely.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even there at all. And, it's inevitable, but it was just handled so well. And
I really liked how that was handled. It was
she was still part of the group,
yeah.
right? She was still part of the group, but it just worked.
It's almost like in real life, like if someone fell in love with with somebody and they had a twin, you can't have a relationship with the twin. Yes,
Correct.
they look the same DNA, obviously, right? Like all the stuff is the same. They have the same parent, blah, 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 but it's still not the same person. At the end,
Correct.
it's still not the same person.
Exactly.
And they treated that properly. Like they could have.
And they let like Zoe have a completely different personality as compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
And it was I'm sure that was fun for her, just to like something different, right?
Yeah. It must have been fun. Yeah, it must have been rewarding as an actor to be able to play.
You get to play the same character but different, you know?
Yeah.
An alternate version. Which reminds me, because someone asked me over, why did she come back? And I was like, I don't even care at this point, because like she
with the timelines and the
I don't care at this point. I was just like, it was such a good movie. I'll accept it.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think there's explanations.
What was the explanation again?
Like, why did she go with the Guardians?
No, how did she come back? Because she had died because she was a sacrifice to get the stone.
Right. So then they pulled Gamora from, because when Thanos comes back in the Endgame, it's not Thanos. It's a past version of Thanos. And a past.
Oh, right, because he attacks them. Gotcha. Yeah, now it makes sense.
He sees it.
Because I was like, how did
they're gonna kill me? They're gonna stop me. No. I'm going to open this portal and I'm gonna win where my previous or my future self failed. I'm going to win. He didn't have the Infinity Stones, he didn't have anything. He just warped over.
Just came,
and Gamora was still his number one assassin at that
right. Yeah,
that's how she
makes sense. Yeah. Because I was like, she didn't come back from the book,
but it's
like, where? Yeah,
I had to actually rewatch those two movies to figure that shit out, because I was like, what?
Yeah. Because like now you think about it, like, how did this happen? Actually, what is the explanation? Because
no idea.
It's a little bit confusing. But what was I gonna say about the Guardians? Visually, also stunning.
Effects-wise?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like all the
great
effects were great. All the scenes were just shot beautifully. The fights, that hallway scene with the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, it was just beautiful. I was gonna say Beach Boys, like no, Beastie Boys. It was the other boys. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah, it was actually. The choreography was amazing. Like there was, and it was like weird. Like even though this is his third movie, and he could have been safe with camera angles and shot stuff. Like I'm going to shoot this in James Gunn style. He's not. He's never shooting in the same style. Even with like Peacemaker, he's like he was doing shit he's not done before. So like there was scenes where the camera's kind of turning a bit, and stuff. Like with the fight, like. God, that fight scene was awesome, and it was
I just want to rewatch the movie for the fight scene.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Because that fight scene and the one with the high evolutionary at the end where they're taking turns, and I was just like, like this is a team effort. It's a team fight. Again, it's not a one-on-one thing. I mean, Rocket has a bit more, beef with this guy, but no, it was good. It was good, and the high evolutionary, he was also very compelling.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, I was just like, man, like, and I like a character. I mean, don't take this the wrong, but I'm like, we haven't seen like a full evil person, in a long time. There's a lot of like humanizing, like the trend with like, let's humanize all these villains. This was just like a, piece of shit,
Yeah.
My goal is just to like, make a perfect society. And if I see one imperfect, thing in this world, wipe it. Clean slate.
Florida.
Yeah, just like wipe it clean and make new people and whatever.
This is what Sylvie and I were talking about, was how the high evolutionary and the shit going on in the movie is a mirror to what's happening in the world today.
It could, yeah.
It's such a mirror. I know what's right. I know. Why? Because I'm smarter than everybody. I'm
I'm
going,
powerful.
yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, and the people that believe in the high evolutionary, like his
Yeah,
subordinates,
yeah, yeah. They
like,
eventually lose faith.
they do. It's like it's so like Trump or what's happening in Florida with
Exactly.
bullshit down there, and there's all these like weird things happening in the world today, and it was such a mirror to it, so that when the villain is the mirror of what's happening now, you just want to punch him in the face. He is such a,
Right, right.
you said it, piece of shit. I've never hated a villain. I didn't hate Thanos. I
Because
disliked
they
him. I thought he was a horrible human being.
because he humanized them at the end a
And what
little
about
bit.
in Loki? We didn't hate Loki,
No,
obviously.
no one hated Loki.
And then who else? What Ironmonger or whatever?
Killmonger, yeah.
Obadia, Obadia Stane, I mean,
Oh,
from
that guy.
Man
Yeah,
One.
yeah.
I didn't hate him. He was a bad guy, and I didn't
Mhm,
like
mhm.
him, but I didn't hate him.
There's no full evil guy.
Oh, but the justifications this guy had for what he was doing, it still worked in that
It made
context.
sense.
That
Yeah.
yeah, he's doing this and he has a purpose, and he has an arc. Like he's doing what's right in his head. We
Hmm.
all know is completely and utterly
Insane.
insane. With Thanos, you're like, I kind of understand what you're saying, but it's really bad. But with this guy, he's a piece of shit. Like
Yeah.
that's
And
a
then
good.
his obsession with Rocket because his mind was just like so
Mhm.
perfect. I don't care. Our ship is going down. We're finding Rocket. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
do you
yeah,
see the advisors like, sir, we can't. We physically can't. And he was just like, no, no, we're going there. That's why
yeah.
they're like, okay, now we're turning against you because now
Yeah.
we've realized who we put.
I like that when everyone's like turns the
Yeah,
gun on him.
yeah.
But yeah, he was. I think, and that's the thing. That's the one thing I haven't seen pop up very often is how great that guy's performance was. I don't even know
Hmm.
what the actor's name, to be
Yeah.
honest, but he was really good. And like in moments like where Jonathan Majors, everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's that good." This guy was that good.
Correct. Yeah.
I honestly would put
I
him
would
at,
put him the same level. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. As a villain, he actually had enough potential to be a villain that crossed more than one film. Honestly,
Correct.
he was that good in
Right.
my opinion.
He was a big threat, right? He had his
He
own
was a
powers, and his vision was just like, this is what I want to do, and he's doing it.
yeah, and he's not just here's my vision. No, he actually he's got multiple worlds, and and there was a little Easter eggs there. He's got the world of the Ani-Men. Well, that was a comic,
Right, right, right.
in the world of this and that, but that also opens up cosmically worlds that the Fantastic Four could be involved in as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Like there's just in an aside, the Ani-Man, he has listed like the worlds that he has that he's
And
created.
that's I get this is a clever way to grow the world.
Yes.
Make it normal, make these like places normal without, having like, oh, let's wait till another movie to set this up and explain this. Didn't take much to explain certain characters, right?
Yep.
You learn a little bit more about Cosmo, or you learn a little bit more
Oh
about
my God,
this, and
Cosmo. Oh my God. I love
so cute.
Cosmo.
That's what I was thinking, like, oh, anyone with a dog would love this.
I I really
Because that's like, if a dog could speak,
I'm
that's what's
not a bad dog.
yeah. I just want to be called good. Like, please, please, I was.
But she was kick ass though. Like her
Yeah,
telekinesis was like next level. It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
Jean Grey level, like powerful.
Right, right. Yeah,
We got Howard the Duck too was in there
yeah.
playing cards or whatever. They were gambling or
Yeah,
whatever.
again, normalize the existence of these
Normalizing,
characters. So
yes.
when by the time you need this character, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
there. He
We've
exists.
already established. We've seen him like in 3 or 4 other films.
Yeah,
Maybe they
he
were
could
like,
be in the Guardians, to be honest. Like, they could like pull him in the next set of Guardians, and like it'd be like, yep, yep, he was there.
okay, so based on Howard the Duck, so this is something I really have to bring up. I'm gonna see if I can find it on my bookshelf here. Oh, no, where's this? It's a lot of dead air. I apologize. I just finished reading this.
Oh, okay.
You
And I
have,
think
you have.
you mentioned that the Howard the Duck involvement in that a long time ago, but
Yes.
is
Well,
it
so this has all of the original, like the original Ulysses Bloodstone. And where
yeah,
did
yeah.
he show up in? Werewolf by Night, right? This is the same guy, but you only see his corpse.
Skeleton, yeah.
And you see Elsa Bloodstone, which is his daughter, I believe. Yeah, daughter. But the writer on Bloodstone was the same writer of Howard the Duck. Not the entire run, but at the end, he came in to finish it off, the Bloodstone saga. And which is really interesting because when this character was created, he had a beginning and he had an end and he dies. Done.
Okay.
So, but his story, the fact that they involved him in Werewolf by Night and the ties to the same writer as Howard the Duck, and I was reading these and his stuff. You see, you're too young to know this, but there used to be magazines. Marvel used to put magazines out, right? And it was Howard the Duck was one of them. Conan was the other one. The Rampaging Hulk, I think it was called. But they were more adult comics. And I don't mean adult by a bunch of boobies and stuff like that. It was just more mature content, right? Like it was,
Right.
and it was the 70s. So like there was interesting things going on in the 70s, which was way beyond what I understood when I was reading. Because
Sure, yeah.
and then so as I was reading this, so anyway, so I'm watching Guardians. I see Howard show up, and I have a and I literally just finished reading this. And then I'm like, Howard, if they could really use Howard to expand upon what happened in Werewolf by Night
Yes.
and the Man Thing and all those sorts of things, like they could really do that. But
I don't know if there's anyone like I see this is the thing, like if they had kept James Gunn,
yes,
100%, I would have
yes, then they could have,
100% faith
yes,
that like they
yes,
would be doing this thing.
yes, yep, yep. But maybe Giancano, is that his name? The guy who did Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
I think he has that same flavor as James Gunn.
He could, because he's like he different style.
Yeah.
We just need to see a few more just to kind of reaffirm that, like, okay, he understands this stuff. Because like I don't know what his deal is, right? Like I don't know what him how
He's
much
not a
he's
director, he's a composer, right? And they just gave
right.
this. Like
Yeah.
it's just one of those, let's see what it does. And I was like, holy shit, you're actually, you know what you're doing. But
Right.
he's been in the backdrop of movies for
For a long time.
20 years, probably.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. You
Yeah,
know?
I was I think we watched the Werewolf by Night behind the scenes thing, and I thought we would see more about the movie, but it was more about
Him.
him being excited and how he worked and whatever, and they're just equally interesting.
It was interesting.
You know.
I did watch that too.
But yeah, like so much potential because it was just like perfect for ending a story, ending a trilogy, perfect for setting up stuff, perfect for world building. I mean, like it had everything in one movie, which was like, this is how you make a movie.
Yeah. What I think, like with James Gunn going, like, because the original like Star-Lord comic, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was an adult comic, but that title, and I think Jim Starlin was the guy that did it, who was the guy who wrote Secret War, the original Secret Wars, right, and stuff. And he was like the youngest employee they had. He was like 13 years old when he started working for Marvel, writing comics, and then eventually he was the editor in chief and stuff. And the stuff that Jim did was always had a bit of an adult tone to it. And again, I'm not talking boobies again.
Yeah.
Like, but he had like, it was more mature subject matter. Howard the Duck was definitely a mature comic because it dealt with things that were, you know, like there was things with like, oh, there's people, you know, this person just died of a heroin overdose or whatever. It would have those sorts of flavors of the real world is not a pretty place.
Correct. Yeah.
So when I was reading Bloodstone, it was like, oh my God, like those magazines from the 70s were so good. And they were all done in black and white.
Mhm.
And even in here, like the stories are in their original format in black and white. Like,
Awesome.
and are the stories good? No. Are they 70s? Yes. But there's good things in there that are worth taking for Marvel Studios. And the fact that they did it with Werewolf by Night again was really an adult title,
Right.
if anything, because there was horror in there, and even Dracula. I don't know if you'd ever read any of the Dracula from Marvel, but it was phenomenal. I have all the collected editions of it. It's really good
Sweet.
stuff. It's different. It's not okay. Screw the superhero stuff. Let's just do something different. It was them experimenting with things, and Bloodstone was definitely that.
Just tell a story.
Still a
That's all it
story.
is.
Yeah, it's just a story. It just happens to be told in, on panels and animated, drawn and stuff. But when I read, so I actually had I've been dying to bring this up with you. So when I was reading this, I remember there was something called the official handbook of the Marvel Universe.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So I remember seeing the picture in there of Bloodstone, and then it gives his aliases, his real name, date of birth, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. And then you're reading and you're like, wow, these stories sound so cool, but I'll never get to read them. They've never been reprinted.
Right.
But you look at the pictures they got in there and then the history, and you're like, you just like, wow, this sounds so cool, but you'll never get to read. All you got is this abridged version of everything that happened, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then this thing comes out, and I actually bought it from 204 Comics.
Yeah.
Like, I've never read these stories, but I remember seeing it in the official handbook going, this guy must be so cool. And then the fact that he had a finite beginning and a finite end was attractive to me. It was like he had
that's always satisfying. Correct. Yeah.
So this thing comes out, and I'm like, and I just thought they were just gonna have like a couple of his stories. Like they wouldn't have the whole thing. No, they have the entire Ulysses Bloodstone thing in here.
Awesome.
And they have a bunch of Elsa Bloodstone too, which is great because I don't know the character. But I'm reading through it, and then I had a flashback. I did read these when I was a kid. I read about 2 or 3 of them when I was a kid. And I think we were at someone's house, and it was an older kid. Like I was like 5, 6 years old or whatever. And then there was a teenager there that had a bunch of Marvel magazines. And I read some of them as a kid, and I didn't understand what the fuck was going on.
Right. Because you're reading like between the issue, middle of an issue or something.
Well, that and
who are these?
And I'm 5, and the words are all big. The concepts are huge. I can't understand any of this stuff. So as I'm reading it, I'm remembering, oh my God, I remember this particular panel. Yeah. And I've forgotten I only read it once, but it left such a long-standing imprint on my psyche that I realized that the character that I wrote when I was writing my Simca comic book, there's a character in there that's Ulysses Bloodstone. It was my take on him, but I actually created a Ulysses Bloodstone type character, and he was in my Simca comic that I wrote like 15, 20 years ago, or whatever it was. And then that character shows up in my book that's on its 9th edit. I pulled the character from my Simca comic and I put him in this book. And I never knew why I love this character so much. It's like I created not a clone. He has a lot of similarities, but
inspired by it.
And I'm like, oh my God, all along I've been writing a Ulysses Bloodstone sequel.
Yeah.
Some ways.
From what you remember, from what you've grasped as a 5-year-old.
Yeah. 5 years old, reading in some kid's bedroom when I find all these magazines. Oh my God, they're magazines, but these are comics. They're black and white. I don't know what this is. And I remembered, and it stayed with me when I wrote these, I was like 19 or 20 years old when I wrote my stories. And then writing now, and I'm 50. Like, holy shit. Like, that's how impactful that comic was that I read once when I was 5. Like, wow. Holy shit. So reading this, I lost my fucking mind. I
Because
really,
you're,
I really
I can't
wanted to read.
imagine, because you're probably like, it's just like, hold a minute, hold on, it's making sense. Things are making sense.
Yeah, like shit you forgot from
Yeah.
when I was like that was like 45 years ago. And it inspired every comic book I made on my
Yeah.
own. And it came from there, and I had no fucking idea. So anyway, please, I would really like if you read
Like,
this.
read this. Yes. Yes,
'Cause
for sure.
I know it's gonna be corny and tacky and whatever, and maybe some bits of it are a little bit.
Says you're saying to the people who bought like Flash Gordon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's interesting. It's mature in how it handles content, but
Right.
it's amazing in like the thing that gets forgotten about in the Marvel universe in the MCU is they always talk about Stan, right? Because I mean he's a legend. They
Mm-hmm,
talk
mm-hmm,
about Steve Ditko, who pretty much created Spider-Man with Stan, but
mm-hmm,
he did most of the work from the sounds of things. And then they talk about Jack Kirby, right? Like, and those are
mm-hmm,
the giants and those are the guys, but Jim Shooter created Thanos and a lot of the Infinity War Endgame. That's all Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin needs to get more credit for the things that he
mm-hmm,
did. He
mm-hmm.
created anything he like Secret Wars, like that was him. Like the things that he did for Marvel are always overshadowed by the stuff that Stan did. And Stan did great stuff, don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
there's a whole more mature side to the comic books that Jim Starlin brought in with Adam Warlock and characters like that. And then Steve Gerber, who created like Howard the Duck and some of those storylines. And what I'm realizing now is Werewolf by Night tapped into that one side of Marvel that we need to see more of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited if they go in that direction. Reading this Bloodstone thing was like life changing for me. Reading it now and going, oh my God.
It just come
This,
full circle.
yeah, and the stuff they can do.
And it's just like amazing to hear, like stories that you've heard when you're younger, or like different points in life will just like, it's there in your brain.
Yeah.
It's there. You cling on, you cling to the stories that are good, the characters that are
Mm.
memorable. You may not like the whole story, but like might be this one character that, oh yeah, I
Yep.
like that character. And it's just there in our memory bank. And
Yes.
you may not remember the story fully, but when, I don't know, just walking one day, you see something and we're like, so it'll just click.
But you don't know why. Like that's
Right,
like
right.
I actually was lucky enough to know why, to actually figure out that, 45-year
Yeah,
story that I don't know. It's cool as hell.
that's cool. Yeah, that's a cool story.
Yeah, so please read it. I will
Yeah,
let it
for
next time
sure.
you're here, please read
Yeah,
it. I really want to get your opinion on it
sure. Yeah.
because it's different content. And Elsa is actually interesting as a character as well. I don't know anything about her,
Right,
but I,
right,
I do now.
right,
And I'm like, I actually do want to see a lot more Elsa. I think she's
right,
cool. She's a good female representation in comics, which we
right.
obviously need
We
more of
like,
that,
yeah.
right? We both like that. And I don't think it's a good idea to bring Ulysses Bloodstone back, but to have Elsa kind of carry the legacy makes total sense to me. And I think they got to bring her back. They can't just have her in Werewolf by Night. They got to bring her back to do something
Right.
else,
Yeah.
even in an ensemble thing or whatever.
Yeah. We'll see how, yeah, we'll see if I hope they give, Giancarlo more
Mhm.
stuff to work with. It it's just a thing when they have control over something, right? Because like Giancarlo could work on this like on the side or whatever. We don't know what the commitment level with that is. But if because they own everything, I'm sure you have to run everything by them. You can't
Oh
just
yeah.
make movies on the side about this anymore. But yeah, pretty
But the
exciting stuff.
reception for Werewolf by Night was,
Generally positive.
yeah. And I think they're like, oh shit, this was just like a one-off,
Yeah.
but it was one of the most positively received things that Marvel's done in the last like 5 years.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And
Great.
that could even be a Halloween thing annually. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you want to have that theme moving forward, I'm like pretty open to that. And I love the effects.
With Blade coming out, because Blade is part of that whole kind of
World, yeah.
part of Marvel, the horror side. I think some of the rewrites for Blade, I wonder if they were a direct result of Werewolf by Night. Like,
Yeah.
okay, look, we got it right here. This is the way horror needs to be done in Marvel.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something there too. Like, I would think, because Marvel's Dracula is my favorite version of Dracula. What they did with him was like perfect. They never, even though he was the title character in his comic, he was never the good guy. They
Yeah.
didn't make him an anti-villain. No, the whole point of the Dracula comic was they're all trying to stop Dracula. He's
Yeah. And
more,
that's a unique way of, writing comic book character, right? The villain, and not from his perspective, not because
it's
you want to
rarely
understand
from,
him. It's like because everyone's out to get him.
yeah. And that's what it was all the time. And it's like, you don't feel for him that much. He is the villain. Yeah, okay, he had a bad past and stuff like that, and he's a vampire and he's got to live with that. But the
This
whole
is him.
thing was,
This is him now.
but they're like, they have to stop him. Like,
Right.
that's what the whole comic was. And
Right.
instead of making him an anti-hero, they didn't know. No, he is the villain. Why wouldn't he be the villain?
Yeah, it's a vampire.
Yeah. But I mean, the introduction of Blade was in there. The introduction of Hannibal King, I think it was, and all these other like amazing characters, and Morbius even showed up in there at some point. But he was also controlling Werewolf by Night, and he was controlling the Frankenstein monster, and all those things. Like, I'd love to see those elements incorporated.
Yeah. Anything is possible. It's just we just gotta see some sort of direction here. And if you're doing some beeline characters or sub stories or whatever, I think they should just commit, right?
Yep.
Because they're half-assing stuff so that they can set up the next one, so that they can test the waters or whatever. I'm like, just give me a full, like, put your best foot forward type of thing to sell the character, I guess is the way to go. Because that's how you did Guardians of the Galaxy. That's why it's as big as it was,
just go with it. Just go with it. Well,
Yeah, but I think they're thinking of the long run. That's what they're kind of doing, right? They're like, oh, we'll take our time because we got we can make 10 more seasons of Moon Knight, and then maybe at season 10, then it'll be a big thing. And like, sure, I mean, there's an appeal to that if smaller production, but like that's quite a big production just to set up the character.
Sure.
And
I think with Guardians too, it was, I don't think they're like, well, we could do this, and then he offered like a good script, and they're like, yeah, this sounds okay.
Yeah.
And then they're like, but when like in post-production, Feige's like, holy shit, it's lightning in a bottle, and he knew it.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like, yeah, whatever, like until it came out, but Feige recognized it, like, well, this is something special, like,
right.
But it's special because the director was special.
Right. And again, he knew what to do with the characters. He knew how to capture stuff.
He knew how to cast.
Right. Even the freaking like monster came back for the monster that eats batteries, like whatever that monster's name. Well, I'm like, even that monster came back and had like a little like story. I'm like, that's cool to me.
Yeah. Attention to detail.
Yeah. It was just beautiful movie overall.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I'm debating if I'm going to go see it in the theaters again or not.
Or just wait till it comes out.
Wait, and then just watch it a shit ton of times. I know I'm going to watch it a bunch of times.
Of course.
It is that good. Yeah. Top 5 Marvel film? Probably.
It could make it, yeah. Because then when you ask us to rank it, give me your top 5, you have a favorite hero for sure, like you prefer you might prefer this over that, and so, but all of them are equally enjoyable.
And then there's recency too. It's like, I just saw this movie. It's the best movie I've ever seen. But is it going to be the best movie in 2 years from now? Like, does it?
And then you could also be critical. Like, you could say that, like, I don't know, I really like the feeling that I had with Winter Soldier, coming out of that movie.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different movie than like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. If I want to, like, what's a more complete movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is pretty complete.
Yep.
Right? But if it's like, I'm just looking for like a good story that made an impact, I could go with this. So it's kind of hard to rank it with the others, I think, but it's definitely, like, it's a very, very good movie.
Maybe what we need to do one time is compare the thirds of every
or origins, middle,
like,
whatever
what's the best
movies.
third movie of Marvel. What is the best, like, off the top of your head?
Well, Spider-Man is a pretty good third, know. This one will be up there.
What else do we got?
I know we didn't like Ragnarok as much. It was enjoyable, but
it was enjoyable.
It wasn't the same character.
It didn't encapsulate in
Thor as a character, Civil War is a third. That's a third Captain.
That was my least favorite Captain America movie.
Hard to follow Winter Soldier.
It was Civil War was great. Don't get me wrong. It was a very good movie. It was very enjoyable, but it was more popcorn than Winter Soldier.
Definitely not Iron Man 3.
No. What other thirds do we have? Thor, we hit.
Ant-Man, we got Ant-Man. No. Not that one.
Is that it?
Is that everyone? Is that all that made 3 movies?
Well, Incredible Hulk never made it to third.
Well, there's a Tobey Maguire third movie too, if you want, but not high on the list either.
Okay, so out of the ones because I think that's all of them. So out of the ones listed, it's like, for me, it's pretty close between
Spider-Man
and this, yeah. And nothing else even comes close.
I think if you want a third, like Winter Soldier's got to be the third, because.
Oh wait, hang on, Logan.
But I mean, the bar for Logan is so low. I have a hard time ranking that movie.
Logan's good as a standalone.
Yes, I would take it as a standalone because the first 2 movies aren't even close. The
second one had potential,
and then they dropped it at the end. They were just like, we don't know what we're doing.
Robot Man.
Yeah, and even Logan, because Logan is not a perfect movie when you think about it.
No, it's not. No,
but it just stands out so much from apart from the other 2, just because the other 2 just sucked.
Yeah.
So better than the first 2, but I don't even know if that's a third. I think it's just 3 attempts to make a Wolverine.
To make one good Wolverine movie. I agree.
Yeah, because the other trilogies, there's like, you see the person, there's an intro, and then you kind of see them go through stuff. And
X-Men Apocalypse was the third movie in the second trilogy.
Last Stand.
It's pretty. So much potential in that movie. I think if they had the right director, I think the third movie would have been great. Every bad decision was because they brought Ratner in.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Apocalypse was not good. Another, potential to do stuff, but no, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Like, yes, you have Jubilee and whatever there, but like, don't be afraid to add them onto the team right away.
Yeah. No, exactly.
We're just gonna use the same people, the people we know.
We're gonna recast Jubilee 3 times in 3 movies.
She's just in the background anyway. No one will notice this.
Yeah, they recast all those people that just showed up a million times.
Like, especially for something like so well known, if they make an X-Men show or whatever that's live action, because I know they're making an animated one, just like make them naturally show up. Like, okay, everyone knows who they are. If they don't, keep watching. That's your that's your motivation to keep watching, and then I'll learn more about this character.
And you can always, like with Rocket, we didn't get his history until the third movie. You can always figure that shit out later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I think let's cap it off there. I didn't realize how late it was, but I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop the recording now. So whatever. Socials, strongbeginning.ca, all that sort of stuff. You guys know where to find us. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. And bye. Have a good day.
Fans of the Sean Geek Podcast, this is the Core Geek talking at you. Did you know that the Sean Geek Podcast has merch available? That's right. Head on over to SeanMcGinnity.ca and click the merch link at the top of the page. You'll be taken to the Sean Geek Podcast store on TeePublic, where you can find the Sean Geek Podcast logo on t-shirts, totes, masks, and more. And best of all, a portion of the sales goes to help support the podcast and allow Sean and Todd to keep bringing great content your way. Once again, go to SeanMcGinnity.ca and click the merch link at the top of the page. And while you're there, don't forget to download the latest episode.